Okay, while Ashlyn's getting that set up, I just launched the poll. We've had some issues with the covers being labeled for editor review. We had decided to do that, to have the layout center label them, but they're not always being labeled accurately. And so we're having things sent to editor review that should not be sent to editor review, or things not sent to editor review that should be, because the labels are inaccurate. So we're just wondering, how helpful is that for all of you to have them labeled in page track, like that this must go to editor review? Like if you really want it that way, if you don't want it that way, if you don't care, so you're just saying bacon. Just trying to decide how much effort we should invest in that based on how helpful it is for all of you.
Oh, I think we just lost Ashlyn. Well, I feel bad starting something else because then she'll join in and want to be ready to go. But
well, let's just go ahead and skip to Joe. Well,
okay,
she gets the chance to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. So the managers have discussed, and because we've been seeing this popping up a lot, is side straddles going into text. Side straddle should really just be pointing off the page. They should not be going into the text, because sometimes it just looks like it's an extra graph of copy. It just kind of looks a little sloppy. I've made some examples from a page. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what we want to avoid is this sort of thing here. As you can see, it's pointing into the text. I know some of you put like rules under it. We do not want cut lines looking like this. We want them either under the photo, or if there's going to be side straddled, put it on toward away from the text, away from the page, if that makes sense. I made another example without the rule, like something I've seen, like, it just doesn't look good. So we're asking you all to not do this anymore. Make the side straddle point off the page, away from the text. I made a rough example of that here. Something like this. This is more acceptable for design. And so if you have to do a side straddle, we encourage you, not encourage you, telling you to do it like this. So does anybody have any questions on that? No? Good. We're all on the same page. That makes me happy. So I don't know if Ashlyn's back, but I know Emma has something she wants to go over. So I'll throw it to Emma.
All right. Actually, I'll just jump in quick here and show you guys the poll results show that a bit more than a third of you value having that editor review label. So we will figure out how to make that work for you then. Thank you for your feedback, as always. I appreciate all of you.
Okay, I'll present my screen. I'm just going to go over the style guide feature today, and that's going to be Rochester colors. I just put together a little Google Doc or InDesign file, excuse me, just to have a visual for our meeting here. Everyone see my screen okay? Okay, got some nods. Okay, so on each of the Rochester masters, all of the colors are already loaded on there. So the nice thing is that they're already available to you when you go to select the color. They're down here to be chosen. And the ones that came directly from their previous templates have the RPB in front of it. And ones that were added later when we learned that they had secondary colors are labeled, earth, leaf, and whatever they had them named in their style guide. So the signature colors obviously are going to be their dark blue, their red, the light blue, but it's labeled blue light and blue dark in the color drop down, orange, tan, and then light gray. These are being used, the red and orange, as you guys already know, up in the teasers on A1. Graphic backgrounds, like boxed headlines, if you have like a colored box and then the white text over the top, or having any kind of color pop for a centerpiece. Maybe it's color in a drop cap, maybe it's your pull quote has a little bit of color in it. Anything sort of like that, you're using these colors. If you're running the centerpiece itself in a shaded box, they prefer you use the tan or the light gray. And the couple times I worked on a cover and they asked for the centerpiece to be boxed in, they actually preferred the light gray over the tan. They like the light color tan for breakout boxes. They favor that more so. Then of course, like I said, breakout boxes, if you go items, all those sort of things. And then of course there's the burst, the recipe box, and all the other items that are in the library. Graphic requests that require less than 3 colors use this palette, for a bar graph or a line graph and stuff like that. And here's a visual of those things. In the library are the colors that we put together a while back. Alicia announced we really reined that in on kind of what colors you guys are using for your breakout boxes. We applied those same colors to Rochester. So these items are available in the library just as they are for the FCC Universal. But if you are working on something special for their centerpiece, you can dip into their color palettes here for their signature colors. So these are items that are already in the library. The breakout boxes and the styles, plenty of options there. The if you go boxes, some in our colors, and then of course the breakout boxes. These are all in their light gray, and this is their tan. And then it breaks down into their secondary colors. These also, like I said, are already loaded on the masters, so they're available in the color drop down for you. And I didn't label these, rude. But earth, leaf, I know there's a light blue and this one's called water. They're all labeled in here in the color drop down. These are where you would introduce them if there are more than 3 colors, multiple colors, for a graphics request. If any of you are working on graphics for them, this palette should be used in small amounts if used on the page. Meaning like rare occasions, colored headlines are okay, but these would be better use for feature pages if you have, if you're making shapes and you're having those in the background, if you're having colorful lines or colorful boxes. These are more of your background tones, something that's not really going to steal the show. As you can see from the top signature colors, these are a lot more bright and bold and really stand out. So these are, like they said, the secondary colors, so they're good for kind of behind the scenes. And then related to color, I wanted to note that they want us to avoid the obvious, such as using green for headlines that are about money, blue for things about water. Just seems redundant. I think a better use of feature style on something like that would be to play around with typography. They actually enjoy to see more mixing with their sans serif and serif fonts with the headline, or playing something small and something really big, something that's really nice, some really nice typography with their headlines. They really enjoy to see that on a centerpiece versus going crazy with color. So just some things to keep in mind when you're designing their pages. I'll PDF this and I'll include this in the email that we send out after the meeting. All right, and it looks like Ashlyn is back. Oh no, I still can't hear you. It's still only registering as 16 people in the meeting. Are you sure you called the right number? Because it'd be the same number. It's an oddball number that's in the meeting notes.
Yeah, I can't see that your phone number has logged in at all. So
let me just copy that for you. I'll put that right here in the chat. It's weird. So it's a long number, and then there's a PIN you enter. And then after the PIN, you type the pound key.
all right, so while Ashlyn does that, I will also let you all know that Detroit Lakes' Wednesday newspaper is moving to mail delivery. So right now, their Wednesday paper, we actually finish it up Wednesday morning. They print it, and then people deliver it in the afternoon. It's just moving forward, essentially 24 hours. So we'll need to have Detroit Lakes finished by 8:30 on Tuesday morning. So the Monday night team will now prioritize Detroit Lakes, then Park Rapids B, then if there's time to do anything from Park Rapids A section. And then the Tuesday morning team probably won't be doing anything for Detroit Lakes, but you can expect more Park Rapids pages. The content deadlines have been updated. The properties and page track are updated. Our lineup emails are updated, so you all should be getting that information. Correct, but just to know that that's going on, and that's why. And I see Ashlyn has just dropped in, so now we just have to figure out how to unmute her phone.
Okay, is that working? Hey, look at that. Sorry about that. I tried it yesterday and I swear it was working. Here, let me do the little presenting thing. So let's do my entire screen. Look at that. Okay. And share. Okay, can everyone see that okay? Is that good? I think so. Gonna assume so. Gonna go with that. Cool. Okay, so my topic today is how to stay healthy at a desk job. I figure that you are all designers, so you don't need me to tell you how to design a thing. And I think this one kind of goes back to back with what Jenny talked about last week. I just think these are like topics that we don't often cover, or anything that like I have ever heard of. So I'll just get right into it. And my first point about staying healthy at a desk job is simply just to move around a little bit. I've talked to a lot of doctors about this one, and it's really hard to talk about any sort of like all-encompassing topics that will work for everybody, right? Like I can't tell you how many glasses of water you need to stay healthy, but generally speaking, most people need to move around. This is really important too, because at a desk job, if you sit for long periods of time, I mean, most of us are sitting from like 7 to 8 hours a day. That's a lot. If you did that type of thing in like an airplane or when you're taking like a car somewhere, you run a serious risk of developing deep vein thrombosis in either one of your calves, which is a life-threatening blood clot. So I figure it's important to kind of avoid that in the perfect world. So some of the tips that I found for this is just, I know that we have tight deadlines, but every 30 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour 30 if we're cheating, just get up for 5 to 10 minutes to move around. That just keeps the blood flowing in your legs. If you are doing the classic posture and sitting upright, your legs are going to be at an angle, so you're not getting blood flow, which is really dangerous if you do that in and out all the time. To go hand in hand with this, I recommend looking into something like compression socks. Compression socks do the same thing. If you know for a fact that your content load is often a lot and you don't have time to move around, compression socks can sometimes act in the same fashion, where it's going to keep the blood moving through your legs all day. So that's one way that you can kind of like get around that if need be. So look into that. The next thing that I would like to talk about is separating your spaces. So one of the big problems that I think that we have right now, and we're moving out of it, but with COVID happening, we're all kind of working from home, or the majority of us are. This gets weird because your work and at-home spaces are blurred, right? That's confusing for our brains. If you sit down at the dinner table to do your work, your brain's probably not thinking about doing work at that time. Your brain's kind of hardwired to be like, it's time to eat. That can really mess up like what type of activity your brain is ready for. So if you sit down to do that and then you have like 8 hours of work, it can be really hard to focus. Same if you work in your bedroom or any type of space like that. So even if you can just set aside a desk where you know that all the time when you are at that desk, you are doing one activity, and that is work, it will help your brain get ready to do that and to stay on task. So that's my second point. My third point is take time for yourself. I know we're talking about helping yourself at a desk job, but I think realistically, there is no job without you, right? It's easy to get into the workaholic mindset of constantly go, 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 have a next meeting, have a next thing to do. And even outside of that, if you're working full time, you might have like, oh, I have to get my kid to school on Saturday. Oh, I have to pick up my groceries on Sunday. So you aren't really getting a day off, right? If we're being real about it. So try and make sure that you're just giving yourself a period of a breather. Without that, you run the risk of overworking yourself, and then the time you need off is way more than if you just took an hour here and there. So just try and be kind to yourself. Next is rewarding the little things. Working at a paper, things are going to go wrong. That's life, right? You can do the best you can and things will still go wrong. That's part of the job. So rewarding the little things to me means that even when you have a terrible night, the fact that you stayed there, you stuck it through, give yourself a pat on the back, get yourself that tub of Ben and Jerry's that makes your life infinitely better. And allow yourself to feel good about what you did accomplish, right? Because you aren't perfect and no one is programmed to do this. The next point is just make a friend. And specifically, I would argue, make a friend outside of work. When you are super like, oh my God, that editor from blah, blah, blah paper really got under my skin today. Being able to talk to someone who's separate from the experience and from the event can be so helpful for our mental health, just to vent, right? This also helps with that unconditional care, because if someone isn't a part of it, it's like you're not bringing the drama home with you. So I recommend that. The next thing is getting some sunlight. So one of the problems that we run into when we work at a desk job is the very fact that at a desk job, you are inside. What? And when you're inside, you're not getting sunlight. And our bodies are programmed to need sunlight. So if you can't do that, maybe look into vitamin D supplements or a happy light. Any little thing that will give you that constant amount of vitamin D will help the dopamine receptors in your brain just like be in their happy space, right? And you deserve that. So try that. And then my last one is just unconditional self-love. I think it's very easy for us to say, hey, on your worst days, of course, you have to be kind to yourself. It is so much harder to actually act on that. So what I really recommend is try to make it so that even when you're at your worst, even when everything goes wrong, even then you're kind to yourself, because it's so easy to get down in the dumps. It is so easy to be hard on yourself for the little things that you miss. And this type of unconditional self-care, when practiced day in and day out, can change the game for your mental health. These are my tips and tricks. I hope that you all had a good time. And yay, audio got working. Yay. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Ashlyn. That was worth the wait. Could you email me that PDF so we can include that in the email for the meeting?
Of course.
Thank you. Emma, did you have anything else before we?
I didn't have anything else. I just want to say thank you to Ashlyn for sharing. I just found that really light and helpful. I really appreciated your presentation today. Thank you, Ashlyn.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here today. Those of you who get to have a long weekend, enjoy your long weekend. Those of you who are working, thank you for working. The people who get to have a long weekend appreciate you. Bye.